may not be suitable for all audiences.
What are you doing here?
Art 101 with Mr. Burgher.
Scholars, welcome back to Art 101 with me, Mr. Burgher. I'm a professional artist and educator attempting to provide you with the best in art historical content. If you like this content, you know exactly what to do. You like, you share, you subscribe, you do all those things, especially here in the land of Caitlin Clark.
It just has that feeling of a Jackson Pollock.
In 1943, Jackson Pollock made this mural. So, let's jump on in and find out a little bit more. The largest painting ever produced by Jackson Pollock, 8 feet tall, 19 feet 10 inches long, was painted in the fall of 1943, although it was actually signed and dated by Pollock in 1947. At any rate, the work was commissioned by Peggy Guggenheim for the entrance hall of her townhouse in New York City, and she provided the canvas of Belgian linen to Jackson Pollock to create the work. Now, Peggy Guggenheim was an art collector and socialite from New York City. Her family made their fortune in mining in the United States and South Africa. After World War II, the family became more involved in philanthropic organizations associated with the arts, aviation, and medicine. Her father was a businessman who actually passed away aboard the Titanic, and she would grow up collecting art in America and Europe from 1938 until about 1946, amassing what would be known as the Peggy Guggenheim collection, which is currently housed in Venice, Italy, and includes works by Marcel Duchamp, her ex-husband Max Ernst, Salvador Dali, Pablo Picasso, Rene Magritte, and obviously many others.
Okay, alright, here we go.
Why is this mural by Jackson Pollock so important? Well, it's important because it's a transition. It's a transition for Jackson Pollock as an artist. Early in his career, his work was more figurative. It was more surrealistic. And this is a lean more towards action painting, the work that he was more known for, with abstract expressionism. He was working with the Museum of Non-Objective Painting, now known as the Solomon R. Guggenheim Museum Collection, who was Peggy Guggenheim's uncle, and during that period of work, he was recognized by Howard Putzel. Howard Putzel was the secretary assistant to Peggy Guggenheim, and he basically said, look, you gotta check this guy out. He's gonna be a breakthrough artist. And she did. She was introduced to Jackson Pollock, and he signed a contract to create the mural with her gallery on July of 1943. He was paid $150 a month as a retainer to be set against any of the proceeds from the sales of his artworks that would be included in a show in her gallery. And this commissioned work was a part of that agreement. It was, in fact, his first commission, and so he was paid $900 for the mural as well as any other unsold works. They became hers. Now, what is this mural about? He claimed that it was a stampede of animals from his days in the Wild West of Wyoming. However, I don't really see that as being a genuine thing, more of a part of the mythology that was Jackson Pollock and his antics of wanting to be associated with the Wild West of Wyoming. Side note, art historian Henry Adams has said that Jackson Pollock's signature was the beginning point of this painting. And although you can very clearly see traces of Jackson Pollock in the background, it has mixed responses in terms of art historical people that buy into this story of sorts. In order for Jackson Pollock to actually paint this painting, he was doing this in his relatively small apartment, so it had to accommodate the painting, as he didn't have a huge studio. So a wall had to be removed from the apartment in order to accommodate such a large canvas. And again, he only had one shot to make it. He couldn't redo it because this specific canvas came from Peggy Guggenheim herself, with very specific fabrics, with very specific stretcher bars, with very specific measurements. She wanted this to be completed in time for a planned exhibition that was opening in November of 1943. But according to Lee Krasner, Jackson Pollock's wife, he procrastinated and didn't really get going on it until the last minute. It is said that he began the work in this frantic state and completed it all in one day. But this is not true. We know 100% that it was not true. Through scientific analysis of this painting, we know that there are layers and layers of dried paint. Oil paint takes days, maybe weeks in some cases, to dry. And so it is impossible for him to having done this in one time. The paint would have blended, and that can be seen in some instances. We know that he began with basically 4 colors: lemon yellow, red, teal, and umber. But to that collection of 4, he added another 2 colors later on as he finished it. Most of the paints were applied with a brush, but there are some places where you can see drips and throws of paint leaning towards this beginning idea, this beginning point of action painting, this beginning point of abstract expressionism. Side note, it was once claimed that Jackson Pollock's mural from 1943 was too long for the hallway that it was designed to go into, so 8 inches was cut off the end. However, we now know that the measurements and the canvas itself was supplied by Peggy Guggenheim, and there is absolutely no evidence that it was ever cut or trimmed on either end.
Damn right.
In 1947, Peggy Guggenheim decided that she was leaving the United States and moving to Venice, Italy. She was taking the vast majority of her collection with her when she left. However, she had arranged with another individual, Lester Longman, to donate the mural by Jackson Pollock to the University of Iowa. And in 1951, the canvas was actually shipped there, and it has remained a part of their collection since 1951, and the $900 investment by Peggy Guggenheim is now valued at no less than $140 million. Turn the lights out, the party's over. I hope you enjoy that as much as I love bringing it to you. We'll see you next time. You have yourself a good day.